2010, I also ceased being the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises. However, I remained a member of parliament. I believe I was removed because I refused to meet with Mr. Zuma while in China on his state visit, which I deal with in detail below. I also believe I was removed from this position because I refused to assist in the closure of the SAA Indian route, which I also address below. And I believe that the reason given for my removal, that it was because of the allegations around Transnet having paid for my visit to China, was simply a ruse, an attempt to discredit me. You see that? You confirm those are your words?
I do.
Now, you deal, as you said, in paragraph 21, with your China visit starting at page 9 from paragraph 26. Now, I would like you to explain to the chairperson the circumstances leading to your being a part of the delegation and the trip to China, as set out in your statement, and permit me from time to time to possibly interject to seek clarification if and when necessary. With that in mind, please go ahead.
My trip to China, my controversial trip to China, in quotes, was preceded by plans for the committee and I to go to China in any way.
Sorry, when you say the committee, please be specific what committee you have in reference to?
The Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee of Parliament that I was a chairperson of in 2010.
Thank you.
There was a planned trip that was approved in Parliament for us to visit China, and there was agreement in the committee because of budgetary reasons and otherwise that I would go to China alone first and take a second visit with the entire portfolio committee once the budget permitted, as according to the approval by Parliament. So we had that approval, the plan was made. Parliament was in recess in the month of August. Parliament always goes on recess for the month of women. We would host a women's parliament and then adjourn to go and participate in the processes of celebrating month of women on the ground in our constituencies. That period in that particular year flowed into the September holidays. So we had just risen as Parliament. I was not aware that there was going to be a presidential state visit to China. When I was contacted by state-owned enterprise of China to alert me of the state visit to China, and with the suggestion that I hastened the trip that I was to undertake ahead of the political, the portfolio committee to China to participate in the discussions there, because it was going, they pointed out that it would be desirable if, I must point out first that prior to the state visit, we had been seized with the matter of power outages as the committee.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you say we, will you just tell us who we is?
Thank you, Chairperson. As the Portfolio Committee of Public Enterprises, we were seized with the power outages that were bedeviling the country at the time. And we had had meetings with various SOEs that participate in ensuring that the lights remain on, which is your ESCOM and Transnet. And we had various meetings with them to understand where what the problem was. And together with them, we had made a public call to anyone and everyone, both nationally and internationally, to come to the fore and work with the state-owned enterprises to assist South Africa to emerge out of the crisis of power shortage. In that process of engagements, we had sat together with Telkom and Transnet in meetings in Cape Town. There are meetings that I would attend as a chairperson with them, and we would be sometimes discussing with people that are facilitating that they come together, the will to work with them to ensure that the power outages are done away with. One of those entities that we were meeting is a state-owned company of China, the very one that would have advised me of the pending state visit and suggested I join it. They were saying from their side, if all the things that we had been discussing prior to with the SOEs prior to the state visit are brought under the umbrella of the state visit, that would assist in shortening the red tape to facilitate the cooperation of Chinese SOEs and South African ones.
Thank you. Now, I understand the background to your going to China. At paragraph 26, most importantly, you say you undertook the trip as part of the presidential state visit to that country. On what do you base that assertion?
On the fact that whilst I knew about the state visit to China, I did my homework and I contacted until I arrived at the relevant parties. That would be the DTI, that was the lead department for the presidential visit, and that would also be Transnet, that eventually paid for my accommodation and travel.
So is the chairperson to understand that you went on that visit as part of the DTI delegation?
Yes. The DTI delegation was twofold. There was government/state contingency of the participants of the visit, and I fell under that category. And there was a contingency of business people that were brought together by BUSA together with DTI. So I essentially became part of the state visit as an MP that was facilitated by DTI.
For the record, Chair, and will you confirm, Ms. Mentor, that the Commission or the Secretariat requested from you any telephone handsets and or computers that you still have in your possession that you were using at the time? Do you confirm that?
I do.
And for the record, Chair, the Secretariat imaged the computer handed up by Ms. Mento, it was one laptop. And from that extracted certain documentation I would like to refer the witness to. In your main bundle, Ms. Mento, please go to page 217, 218, and 219.
The main bundle being
Main-
D1.
D1. I should remember to call it that. D1, I apologize, Chair. D1.
217?
217 to 219.
Okay.
Now, please have regard to the 3 pages and just briefly explain to the chairperson what those are. Please have regard to pages 217, 218, and 219. I would like to place on record, Chair, that those documents were retrieved from Ms. Mento's laptop, handed to the Secretariat. And I would invite Ms. Mento to explain to the Commission what those documents are.
The document on 217 is my letter to Transnet
Yes.
requesting that they provide financial assistance for me to undergo the trip, as Parliament was in recess at the moment, and I could not access financial assistance from Parliament. Document 218 is an invitation letter from DTI that I received. Nobody could go on the state visit if they did not have this invitation.
Okay. And is that the invitation you say you received from the DTI?
Yes, thank you.
I would like to place on record that the Commission requested documentation from the DTI pertaining to this trip to China, and these were received. Chair, they form part of D1 and appear from pages 168 to 216.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Now, Ms. Mento, when the Commission received these documents, we perused them, and I would like to refer you to page 209. The list from 209 to 216, that is the list of guests